Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lauren Sloan, the initiative producer at SeriesFest, and this is the Q&A for Blind Bitter Happiness. I am joined by the creators and crew behind the pilot. We have Peter Feeney, the writer-director, Emily Harris, the designer, Brogan Wilkinson, producer, and Sam McKillen, editor and production manager. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Hello.
We loved the pilot. I kind of want to dive in and ask a million questions about how it came to be. But first of all, I want to ask, Scarlett is a scene stealer. I mean, where did you find this girl?
Oh,
She's such a sweetheart.
Well, you know, it's funny because me and Brogan started working together like over a year ago on a short film with her as the lead. And then that kind of got ditched because we were like, I got interested in this bigger project over COVID. And she's, of course, my daughter.
What?
Yeah. And if she's a scene stealer, it's because I was able to write for her.
Oh, like, so, in the show, not in real life. She's not your real life daughter.
Yeah,
She's your real life daughter?
Yeah.
Oh,
all the kids are Peter's children.
Most of them, except for one. Yeah. Mary isn't mine, but the three, Jasper, Scarlett, and Harley, are all my kids.
Okay. Well, then, I mean, congratulations on growing such talented kids.
Oh, thank you. But I mean, it's all sort of one of the things that makes shows a bit different is that it's kind of in-house. And of course, when you work in the film industry, I mean, me and Emily go way back, but Brogan and Sam are part of this sort of crew of people who've been coming to my acting school, you know, for years, and now they're all grown up and they're evolving and going out and doing things in the industry. So it feels a bit like a family as well, you know, because we've all known each other a long time.
That's great. Well, so Peter, this is based on a book that you wrote, correct?
Yeah.
And then how did that turn into a pilot? I mean, what was the impetus for adapting that?
It was the lockdown in April last year in COVID, where I sort of, you know, I think it was a great time. It was a horrible time. It was a great time in some ways because you're sort of sitting there thinking, well, what's important to me and what do I really want to write about and what do I know about? And it's my own childhood and it's being a dad and it's having these three kids that are so much hard work. And it was just a desire to speak the truth to raising kids. And we had a saying on set, which I'm sure you guys all know, which was, we go to Hallmark. And we make Hallmark movies in New Zealand. We just wrapped on one. And it was kind of like, let's not be sentimental, you know, let's speak the truth. Yeah.
I did not get a Hallmark vibe. So I think mission accomplished there. Right. So how did you loop in the team? When did Sam and Brogan and Emily come on the scene? You adapted it and then decided to kind of make this happen during COVID?
Well, Brogan said in a class one week, she said, I want to do producing. And I just sort of jumped down the neck and went, great, because I need a producer, you know. So we started off on the short film and sort of broken the relationship. And then she
kind of went back and forth with the scripts you had with a few.
Yeah, because I just started emailing them to Brogan, Sam, and two other students, and they kept feedbacking. And Brogan shared a story. Well, I don't want to share it for you, but anyway, some of her stories about growing up, which ended up in there. And then the contribution that Brogan brought was, we already had Sam, I'd already worked with on different things, and he was on board. The contribution that Brogan brought, one of the big contributions was knowing a bunch of people who we were able to bring in, you know, closer to the time of filming to help us. And she had a kind of a team that, you know, good people just kept popping up. Sam, as I say, we had an existing relationship, so he was in from the beginning. But Emily was like, I think Emily was like my art department goddess. Like, I never thought we'd get anyone like Emily to do it. And I think literally in January, I sent her an email because we hadn't found anyone. And I just thought, well, she'll be busy. She'll be filming something else. She'll say no. And she just didn't. I couldn't believe it. So that's how she came on board. The other key person was the DOP. And as Brogan says, because, you know, well, there's lots of key people, actually, lots of wonderful people. But it was really heartbroken, wasn't it, finding a crew because everyone was working. We finally got this guy, Seb, who actually, of course, hadn't had any drama experience, done a lot of documentary and done a film, but hadn't done drama. That's why he wanted to do it.
That's great. Brogan, or sorry, Emily, what brought you to it when you got the script? And clearly Peter thought you would pass. So what was it about it that made you sign on?
I don't know why you thought that, Beanie, but
Drugs, why? Why did you say yes?
well, I've known Peter for over 20, and I think he's a good guy. So that was, a bit of interest. But I think mostly it was Peter's passion. It's kind of it's easy to get swept up by that because clearly it was a very personal story, really personal, and I like the family history and connection. And it was it just felt like something a little different, and it it just came from Peter's heart, and it sounded like just a cool project.
Yeah. I think this is the kind of project, to me, when I saw it, it made me think that you don't have any safety nets. There's no big explosions or anything to distract you from, to keep the entertainment. It's really about the story and the performances and the quality of the project. And that's why I think it's so special personally. So, I mean, seriously, congratulations on wonderful execution of all those things.
Yeah, I mean, and we're really taking a risk with the audience because we're just trusting. I've written all the episodes, and we are going to make it, but we're trusting the audience to go along with that and just let us linger and not rattle it along narratively, Yeah, so it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, I mean, starting out with a zipper incident and then to the passing of a patriarch, you really cover a lot of ground. So you're kind of pulling at the heartstrings in different ways, I felt like, throughout the episode. And just finding Scarlett in Granddad's bed was just, I mean, that was a tearjerker for me. That was great. I just, but yeah, keeps you wanting more.
Oh, isn't that nice? Because Brogan, you said that, I think, when Brogan saw a really early cut, and she gave lots of really good notes, but then she said, legit, I had a tear in my eye. At near the
I
end
was like crying, but also kind of a little bit laughing in that moment just because of the snoring, like just adding in like Scarlett snoring as well. I was like, I shouldn't be laughing, but like her cute little snores. And then I was like, wait, it's really sad. So it definitely is like in a change of like emotions. It's like a roller coaster. Like 1 minute you're laughing with the zipper scene, and then it's kind of a situation where everyone has lost a family member or lost someone they love. So it's something you understand. And then obviously coming from like a child's perspective, I think it's really nice to kind of see it through Scarlett's kind of eyes and just how she's going to handle the situation and how it kind of unfolds in front of the family.
But the first thing I wrote was that scene, and it came from my own father's death a few years ago, and my daughter Scarlett Tilly's big regret that she didn't meet him, and she's always going on about, I miss Granddad Dennis, and my son who plays Jasper says, what are you talking about, you never met Granddad Dennis, So yeah, that was the heart of the story. So it's so gratifying for me to hear that.
It is, and it feels like it normalizes death in a way, right? Because you kind of, it just, obviously it impacts everybody, but you seeing it through her eyes, you're like, okay, this is just a part of life. And yeah, it was comforting and sad at the same time. So I think it's just very complicated.
Well, I mean, episode 2 is the wake, and he goes into a fridge for 2 weeks while everyone quarantines, and that's where we go with that. And it's very normalized. He's lying on the bed, and the kids are putting flowers on the bed and tying his toes together so he can't walk off, and putting pennies on his eyes. So
Sam, I want to talk about the editing perspective of this. So clearly you were sounds like very involved in pre-production, production, and then coming into it from a post side. How did you approach it after you'd been so intimately involved from day one?
I guess it was sort of the best rolling start to the edit because we kind of just knew the project from the inside out, starting with those original scripts. It was a real sort of come up for me because as an editor, I've never had footage of that standard to work with before. So I just sort of felt like I was stepping up and needed to make the best of what we'd shot with some pretty talented crew members. DOP provided us with some pretty awesome footage. So it was just about, making it work really. So really glad to hear that you found the zipper scene at the start really funny, but you also enjoyed the transition into a patriarch. That was a challenge in the edit. We were sort of curious about how we were going to take two, you know, very different sort of parts of life and make them work together nicely in an episode. But I think we got there.
Yeah. I towards the end, I kind of thought about, we started in a very different place, but it never felt jarring or out of order, and you just kind of go with the flow for the whole episode. But
I did a play years ago in a theatre in Australia, and then I've got the film rights for it, and I'm working on the film. And the thing that really worked with the play was it got the audience to laugh, and then it opened them up emotionally, and then you took them to all these other places. So that's always stayed with me. And it's how you want to do serious comedy. Like, do you tilt it as a genre and make it kind of light all through, or do you have the comedy, the funny bits, and then the serious bits, and sort of something that you play with while you're trying to find your tone?
yeah, well, I agree with you now after seeing the product.
Oh, they're so nice, the Americans, aren't they?
I mean,
So nice.
that just SeriesFest, we're the only nice ones.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I'm glad you have the other episodes done, and I hope that we get to see them. I hope we get to see them soon. Are there plans to go on to shoot episode 2 and onward?
Well, we're trying to get it funded. I mean,
Mhm.
that's why we wanted to make the pilot. And so we're working in New Zealand and Australia
Great.
to get a broadcaster and get support. But the determination is there to do it any way we can. But I want to pay people. You know, that's my big thing from here on, if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if I had some money in my back pocket, I would give it to you for future episodes. But
Thank you, Lauren.
one
That
day.
would be so good for me, because getting fundraising for this pilot and begging people that I knew in production. Like, we had a really good post team. We had a company
Yes,
called Department
that's
of
worth
Post,
talking about.
who are like very professional. They're editing for a lot of very big projects happening in New Zealand at the moment. And I knew the director of there, James Brooks, who was able to jump on board and help with coloring and kind of give a bit of like advice from like a post kind of view. So it was great having them on board. But yeah, hustling a free contract out of them.
Yeah.
Somehow worked, and I somehow got there. But yeah, it'd be great to be able to pay everyone and just say thank you for all the work, because I think that's one core thing me and Peter agreed on, is everyone that's involved in the pilot would come back for the rest of the series. So everyone used in the pilot, acting as well as crew, would all come back. So
just to add to that, yeah, they gave us $30,000 worth of post for nothing.
Mhm.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. That was built on Brogan's relationship with James. But the best bit of advice I actually had was from Jodie Jordan, and she said, only work with people you like. And a couple of times we were all having conversations, and I'd go, I really need a first AD. And then the advice I was getting from people like Brogan's really firmly was, yes, but not if they're an asshole. You know, you're better off using the people we have. And so going forward, the cool thing is, these would be my first choice for people. We'd obviously will be adding in a few other more people, a bit of experience here and there, but all the people we use are people that I want to do it with. So it's not like it's not onerous.
That's great. Work with the people you love. And
That's a really good bit of advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
we all still kind of love each other at the end of it.
That's great.
Oh,
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Aw, I love it. So I'm glad we can get you guys together to have a little bit of a love fest here. But that's all the time we have for with the Q&A. But I'm so glad you guys joined us, and this has been such a delight. And stay tuned for more, hopefully more episodes in the future. But thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.